The city lights stretched endlessly, illuminating the night like a sea of stars. Jungkook leaned back against the plush seat of his private jet, fingers absently tapping against the armrest. It had been 5 years. 5 years since he had been thrown away like he was nothing. His family had sold him off, disguised as an arranged marriage to the son of a wealthy business tycoon, Kim Taehyung. At that time, Taehyung had been nothing more than a cold and distant figure, a man of few words with an unreadable expression. Jungkook had thought it was just another forced alliance between two families. But the reality had been crueler. They had used him, married him off to Taehyung to erase their debts, and then discarded him when they no longer needed him. They had cut off all ties, severed every connection, leaving him alone in an unfamiliar world. Jungkook had suffered, but he had survived. And now, he was back. The moment he stepped out of the jet, a fleet of black cars awaited him. His personal assistant, Jimin, approached with a knowing smirk. "Welcome home, CEO Jian," Jungkook scoffed. Home, Jimin chuckled. "All right, welcome back to the battlefield." Jungkook adjusted his cufflinks. That sounds more accurate. 5 years ago, he had been nothing. Today, he was a billionaire. Today, he had the power to turn the world upside down. And today, he was going to face the man he had left behind. Meanwhile, in the Kim estate, Taehyung sat in his office, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. His fingers were tense, his sharp eyes fixed on the city skyline. He had known this day would come. Jian Jungkook was returning. The boy who had been forced into his life, only to disappear. The boy who had left without a word. The boy he had tried so hard to forget. Taehyung placed his glass down and stood up, running a hand through his dark hair. He had changed, too. He was no longer the young heir who obeyed his family's every command. He had built his empire, established his dominance. And now, Jungkook was stepping back into his world. With what intentions? Taehyung smirked. "Let's see if you can handle what you left behind, Jungkook." The air was thick with tension as Jungkook stepped into the grand lobby of the Kim Empire. The cold marble floors, the towering glass walls, nothing had changed, yet everything felt different. 5 years ago, he had walked these halls as nothing more than a name on a contract. Today, he returned as a man of power, a force to be reckoned with. Employees stopped in their tracks, whispering among themselves. "Is that Jian Jungkook? Didn't he disappear after marrying the CEO? Why is he back now?" Jungkook ignored the stares, his sharp gaze locked onto the elevator doors as they slid open. His personal assistant, Jimin, followed behind, a smug grin on his face. "You really love making brand entrances," Jimin mused. Jungkook smirked. "Let them talk." The elevator doors closed, sealing them inside. Jungkook exhaled slowly, his fingers tightening around the file in his hands. This wasn't just a visit, this was a confrontation. He had business with Kim Taehyung. And this time, he was in control. Kim Taehyung's office. Taehyung sat behind his massive desk, completely unbothered, as his secretary announced the unexpected visitor. "Sir, Jian Jungkook is here." Taehyung took a slow sip of his whiskey before responding. "Let him in." The doors opened, and for the first time in 5 years, they stood face to face. Jungkook was no longer the naive boy from before. He carried himself with confidence, his tailored black suit fitting him perfectly, his piercing gaze unwavering. He exuded power, authority, a man who had built himself from the ground up. But Taehyung was no less intimidating. He leaned back in his chair, exuding a lazy dominance that sent shivers down Jungkook's spine. His dark eyes raked over him slowly, assessing. Neither spoke. The silence crackled between them like a live wire. Then Taehyung smirked. To what do I owe the honor? And Jungkook's jaw clenched. The way Taehyung said his name, mocking, amused, like he had been expecting him, set his blood on fire. I'm here to settle unfinished business, Jungkook said coolly, tossing a file onto the desk. Taehyung raised a brow, flipping it open lazily. His expression remained unreadable as he scanned the contents. Then, with an infuriatingly calm tone, he said, "Divorce papers." Jungkook's fingers curled into fists. It's long overdue, Taehyung chuckled, low and deep. You think so? Jungkook's patience snapped. We were never a real couple, Taehyung. Our marriage was nothing but a business deal, and I want it over. Taehyung stood up slowly, rounding the desk until he was inches away. Jungkook refused to step back, even as the older man's presence overwhelmed him. Taehyung reached out, tracing a finger along the edge of the divorce papers. Then, with a smirk, he pushed them aside. No, Jungkook's breath hitched. What? Taehyung leaned in, voice dangerously soft. You left without a word, Jungkook. You never asked me what I wanted. And now you think you can just waltz in and erase our marriage like it was nothing. Jungkook's heart pounded. It was nothing. Taehyung tilted his head. Then why do you look so affected? Jungkook's lips parted, but no words came out. Taehyung smirked. You're still mine, Jungkook. And I don't let go so easily. Jungkook's breath caught in his throat. Taehyung wasn't just refusing the divorce. He was declaring war. Jungkook's blood boiled. He had walked into this office expecting a clean break, an easy escape. Instead, Taehyung had turned the tables on him with just 2 words. No. Jungkook squared his shoulders, forcing his expression into one of indifference. You don't get to decide this, Taehyung. This marriage was forced on both of us. It means nothing. Taehyung let out a low chuckle, stepping even closer, invading Jungkook's space. Is that so? His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Then tell me, Jungkook, do I mean nothing to you? Jungkook's breath caught. He had prepared for a legal battle, not an emotional one. But Taehyung wasn't playing fair. He was never fair. Jungkook's fingers twitched. You're twisting this into something it isn't, Taehyung hummed. Am I? Jungkook forced himself to stay calm. Fine, he said coldly. If you won't sign the divorce papers, I'll make sure you have to. Taehyung raised an amused brow. Oh, Jungkook smirked, leaning forward. Kim Corporation's biggest investor? That's me now. He slid another document onto the desk. I bought out every share available under a different name. For the first time, Taehyung's expression faltered. Jungkook's smirk widened. Got you. You're stubborn, Taehyung. But so am I. Jungkook's voice was firm. Sign the divorce, or I'll make sure Kim Corporation's stocks crash overnight. A beat of silence. Then, to Jungkook's annoyance, Taehyung smirked. You think you can control me with money? Taehyung chuckled, low and dark. Cute. Jungkook gritted his teeth. I'm not playing, Taehyung. Neither am I, Taehyung said smoothly. He grabbed the divorce papers, fingers brushing against Jungkook's as he lifted them. Instead of signing, he ripped them in half. Jungkook inhaled sharply. You, Taehyung stepped closer, voice dripping with amusement. You should know by now, Jungkook. His fingers lightly gusted over Jungkook's wrist before he whispered, "I don't lose." Jungkook's pulse raced. "You just made a mistake." Taehyung tilted his head. "Or maybe you did, by coming back." Jungkook clenched his jaw. "This isn't over." Taehyung smirked, eyes dark with something unreadable. "No, it's just getting started." The war had officially begun. Jungkook stormed out of Taehyung's office, his heartbeat hammering against his ribs. He had expected resistance, but Taehyung had just declared war. Tearing up the divorce papers? That arrogant boss. Jimin fell into step beside him, struggling to keep up. "Why do you look like you're about to murder someone?" Jungkook exhaled sharply, running a frustrated hand through his hair. "Taehyung is playing games," Jimin hummed. "When isn't he?" Jungkook stopped walking, his jaw clenching. "He refuses to sign the divorce." Jimin blinked. "I thought you had leverage." "I did," Jungkook hissed. "But that tore up the papers like they were nothing." Jimin let out a low whistle. "Damn. He really doesn't want to let you go." Jungkook scoffed. "I don't care what he wants. I'll make sure he has to sign." Jimin smirked. "Now that's the Jungkook I know." Jungkook didn't respond. His mind was already spinning with his next move. If Taehyung wanted a battle, Jungkook would give him one he wouldn't forget. Kim Mansion. That night Taehyung sat in his dimly lit study, fingers tracing the rim of his whiskey glass. The fire crackled in the fireplace, casting long shadows across the room. His mind replayed the scene from earlier, Jungkook storming into his office, throwing demands like weapons. His Jungkook. Taehyung smirked bitterly. 5 years. 5 long years, and Jungkook still had the power to shake him. He had built an empire, solidified his name in the business world, but none of that mattered when it came to him. The door creaked open, and Namjoon stepped inside, his expression unreadable. "You're provoking him," Namjoon said, sitting across from him. Taehyung swirled his drink. "He provoked me first," Namjoon sighed. "You let him go once." "Why, hold on now." Taehyung's grip tightened around his glass. "Because he's mine." Namjoon studied him for a long moment. "And if he doesn't want to be?" Taehyung's jaw ticked. "Then I'll make him want to." Namjoon exhaled. "You're playing a dangerous game, Taehyung." Taehyung smirked. "Good. I like dangerous, but deep down, past the arrogance and control, there was something else, something raw, something desperate." Because Taehyung knew one thing for sure, Jungkook could hate him. Jungkook could fight him. But Jungkook wouldn't leave him again. Not this time.